Good morning, everyone. Let me once again take you into the world of literature, more precisely into the world of poetry. When we talk of poetry, when we talk of literature, and when we talk of the few very celebrated authors of English literature, the first name that comes to our mind is that of William Shakespeare. Who has not heard of the bard of English literature? Who hasn't heard of William Shakespeare? Well, William Shakespeare was born in England, in Avon upon Stratford, and he was one of the most celebrated dramatists. He was an actor, he was a performer, he was a writer, he was a playwright, and whatever works he wrote are famous till today. People quote him for tragedies, people quote him for comedies, and also tragicomedies that he wrote, a few like The Merchant of Venice. His tragedies have been celebrated till today, and many of his works have been turned into movies. For example, take Othello, take Romeo and Juliet, the most famous love story. Take, for example, Hamlet. Take, for example, King Lear. Most of his works have been made into movies. Now, before I actually begin with his work, tell me one thing. Why do you think is William Shakespeare so famous till date? Because he produced a lot of good English work? Well, that is one of the reasons. There were many other contemporaries of his time who produced good work. They were famous, but nobody is as famous as William Shakespeare. And the reason behind him being so famous is that whatever he wrote in his age, he was a Renaissance writer. Whatever he wrote in that period is living till today. He spoke of vices like jealousy, he spoke of love, he spoke of greediness, he spoke of vices, he spoke of goodness, he spoke of family, and everything that he spoke of holds good even till today. He, for example, compared the life of a human being with the acts that are performed on the stage by people, and that is very true. Our life still follows the same pattern that used to be there long time back. So the reason for him being famous is that Shakespeare is an evergreen writer. So now let me begin with the poem that I'm just going to discuss with you. The poem entitled All the World's a Stage. It is also known as the 7 stages of a man's life. All the World's a Stage was not individually written as a poem, but was included in As You Like It, a play written by William Shakespeare, and this poem was said by a character who was there in the work As You Like It, and the name of the character was Jax. Jax spoke this poem in the form of a soliloquy. Now, a soliloquy is a technique used in theatre and drama where a person is speaking something aloud to himself, where the audience is aware what he is speaking of, and which generally has a meaning. So this soliloquy, All the World's a Stage, was spoken by Jax, and he spoke of the life of a human being that was divided in various stages, and how a human being goes through the various stages of life. Now, this was also known as 7 stages of a man's life. I'll begin with the poem, and it says, All the world's a stage, and all men and women merely players. They have their entrances and their exits, and one man in his life plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. Now, what does it mean? Here we see that Shakespeare has made a comparison of a human being's life with the actors that perform on a stage, just the way an actor who comes on the stage has to play various parts. At times he may be a father, at times he may be a son, at times he may be an officer, at times he may be a lover. And just the way he keeps coming in, he performs on the stage, gives the performance and exits. In the same way, we human beings, we come in this world, we have our various roles designed. For example, at one point of time, we are somebody's son, we are somebody's daughter, then we become a brother to somebody, we may also be somebody's grandchild, and then eventually we pass various ages of our lives. And these ages have been divided into 7 stages. So once again, he says, all the world is like a stage. And this is a comparison. The world is being compared with a stage. All the world is a stage, and all men and women merely players. Merely players. We don't have anything in our hand. God directs us. We play our parts. We have our entrances. We come into this world. We perform our parts, and we have our exits, and we move out of the world. And these are precisely divided into 7 broad stages. The first stage being that of an infant. And he says further, at first the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arm. The first stage of a little baby who comes into this world, who cries, who mews, the sound that the little baby takes out is called mewling, and the baby cries in the nurse's arm. At times he even pukes in the nurse's arm. That is the time when we are born, and that is the first stage of a person's life. And then comes the second stage. Before I move on to the second stage, I would like you to remember the time when you first joined your school. The first time when you went to your school, how was your reaction? Were you happy about going to school? Or were you crying? Were you sad? And were you of those kinds who used to think of a new reason of not going to the school every day? For example, a stomachache. For example, you not feeling well today. For example, I haven't done my homework, I can't go. Or secretly wishing that you must miss your school bus before you can actually go to school. Well, the second stage is that of a school-going child. And he says further, and the whining schoolboy, the schoolboy that cries out aloud, and with his satchel on the back and shining morning face, creeping unwillingly to school. The boy crying, howling, trying his best so that the mother may not send him to the school, and with his satchel on the back, satchel is a school bag, carrying the school bag on his back, and trying very hard not to go to the school. But the mother or the people around him were adamant, so he had to finally walk, but the pace at which he is walking is a snail's pace, as slow as the snail, not willing to go to the school, and creeping unwillingly to school. That is the second stage of a person's life. Now then after that, we move on to a more colorful stage of a person's life. That is the youth. That is generally the person when he moves on to high school, and the stage is that of a lover. And then the third stage, he says, and then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Now imagine the times in which Shakespeare wrote. At that time we had love, and love, that was actually true love. When we talk of love, we do not mean love that happens today through social networking sites, or love that happens today through SMS or through messages or through video conferencing. Love that happened in those times where the lover was hardly able to meet the beloved, and where in the memory of the beloved, the lover wrote an entire ballad. A ballad is a love song written in the memory of the beloved and dedicated to the mistress's eyebrow. Imagine the eyebrow, the beauty of that eyebrow that the mistress would be having. And there was an entire ballad written in the memory of the mistress's eyebrow. And here the lover has been described as sighing like furnace. The long breath that the lover takes, as hot as a furnace. Furnace is a place where iron is melted, the ore is melted and the metal is taken out. So actually, if you talk about it symbolically, it defines and it means that in the memory of the beloved, the lover writes a love song, a ballad, and he is missing the beloved. And that is the third stage of a person's life. And then thereafter, we move on to the fourth and the most smart stage of a person's life, where Shakespeare calls that stage a soldier's stage. Now, soldier in today's context does not really literally mean anybody who goes and joins the country's army. It precisely means an age where you can do anything for the sake of reputation. Reputation, be it your own reputation, be it the reputation of your family, be it the reputation of your country like a soldier does. But for the sake of the reputation, you fight, you go along to all the extremes, and you defend your loved ones. So the fourth stage is that of a soldier. and then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the bard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation. This stage is the fourth stage, in which William Shakespeare says that a person becomes like a soldier, bearded like the pard. Pard is a leopard, a very fierce animal, and the soldier is supposed to be bearded. At that point of time, beard was a sign of manliness, was a sign of bravery. A soldier who is bearded like the pard and who is full of strange oaths. You know, when you are young, your blood is full of heat. You are young, you want to achieve big things in life, you have big dreams in life, and you want to fight for your reputation and for your family's reputation and for the name of your loved ones. So full of strange oaths, he makes promises to himself, he decides upon himself, he talks of things, he wants to do big things in life for the sake of the country. And full of strange oaths, looks like a leopard, as fierce as a leopard, jealous in honor, and sudden and quick in quarrel. He cannot tolerate anybody saying anything against the country. You talk to the soldier of any country, the soldier cannot listen to anything against a country, and for that he can go to any extent. So that is how the fourth stage of a person's life is, when you can go to the extent of quarreling and fighting with people for the sake of your country or for the sake of reputation. The word bubble has been written along with the word reputation here. I want to draw your attention to this. It has been called a bubble reputation. Why? Because a reputation is a very short-lived thing. Today, you are a good student and you have a reputation of being a very, very regular and a good student. But tomorrow you stop coming to your classes. You stop doing your work. You're not submitting your assignments on time. What happens? The reputation changes. The reputation then becomes from a good student to a not so good student. And this is as short-lived as a bubble. Till the time the bubble has air, it is there, and then it can burst anytime. Whereas character is a long-lived thing. But when you are young, we do not realize it. And we go on to all the extremes, fighting for the sake of our bubble reputation. And then he says, even in the cannon's mouth, even when the soldier is there facing the enemy, and even when he has been standing in front of the cannon's mouth, and even when he knows that he is going to be blown up, he will still fight for the sake of the reputation of the country, and that reputation is in the hands of our soldiers. And then we move on to the fifth stage. The fifth stage, Shakespeare here says that the fifth stage is concerning the justice or the judge. And this stage, if you don't talk about it literally it means a judge or justice, but it also means people who are wise. After you pass your youth, you become more experienced, you become more wise. And then he says in this context, and then the justice in fair round belly, with good capon line, with eye severe, and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. So the fifth stage concerns of a justice where the person becomes middle-aged, where the person slips into the middle ages. He is experienced, he has a fair round belly, he has a good round belly, he has put on weight and he looks healthy, and good capon lined. Good capon lined, the cloak or the cloak that the lawyers and the judges wear, that is good capon lined, and that is what the judge wears. And beard of formal cut. When we say a beard of formal cut, we know that the person is mature, we know the person is professional, and we know that the person is talking out of experience. And that is the fifth stage, where a man becomes serious, where a man, through his experiences, he shares his experiences, and he is full of wise instances and modern saws. Wise instances because every person undergoes a lot of experiences in life, and through the medium of those experiences, we tend to share those experiences for the benefit of other people, or for the sake of letting others know that we have faced it. And here in this stage we would have a lot of young fathers who would give advice to their children, to their daughters, to their sons, and tell them that this is what they have gone through in life, and also tell them that this is what they should be doing and something that needs to be avoided, because that comes out of experience. And this is the fifth stage of a person's life. He has severe eyes, severe are serious eyes, and he is full of wise instances and modern instances and wise sayings of people, wise people, whomsoever he has read or encountered in life. And then comes the sixth stage. The sixth stage, as we talk of, can be called the beginning of old age, or the old age precisely. And he says, in the sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose well saved a world too wide. Turning again for him. The sixth age shifts into old age, and the sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose well saved a world too wide. For his shrunk shank and big manly voice, turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his voice. Well, when we talk of old age, they say that old age is like the age of a person's childhood. Once again, when a person shifts into the old age, his big shank, his big body gets shrunken. Our digestive system becomes weak. Our overall personality becomes weak. We are experienced now till all extremes, and we are once again dependent like a little child. We want help from people all the time. And our big manly voice, the commanding voice that a person once had, now changes into childish treble. Treble is a quality of music, and it is the amount of shrillness that is there in a person's voice. And he further says that pipes and whistles in his sound. When a person becomes old, because a person loses his teeth, or because of the alignment of teeth, the commanding voice changes into childish treble, and when a person speaks, it feels as if a whistling sound is coming out from the mouth, whereas it is not a whistle, but just because there is a gap in the teeth, and when a person speaks, he blows out air. So that is not a very good sight, but yes, that is old age, and everybody faces it. And in the old age, one has spectacles on the nose and a pouch on side. You must have seen your grandparents, you must have seen old people keeping their belongings very close to them, because that gives them a sense of security. They don't want to let the people feel that they are dependent on other people. They want to have their spectacles, they want to have their pen, they want to have little medicine, they want to have their own belongings very close to them so that they feel secure. But the old age, once again, a person starts turning towards childishness in terms of dependency, in terms of physicality, in terms of emotional dependency, and so on and so forth. So after the old age, we have the last stage of all that ends this eventful history. We call it the eventful history because every person undergoes a hell lot of experiences in one's life, and those experiences are there in the form of events, good events, bad events, something nice that happened in life, surprises, shocks, and with the collection of those events, a person weaves a life. And this strange eventful history, it is strange because it is unbelievable. Life is unbelievable. Once you become old and once you look back at your life, you feel and you realize what all have you undergone, what all have you gone through, and therefore it becomes unbelievable and eventful because we undergo so many events in our life, and history because that is past. So the last stage of all that ends this strange eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Saw teeth, saw eyes, saw everything. And the last stage, in the last stage, we are not calling it, the poet here does not say this is death, but this is second childishness, when a person hardly remembers his own self, the people around him, and becomes as dependent as a child, is without teeth. Saw teeth is without teeth. Saw eyes, the eyesight becomes so weak the person can hardly see. Saw taste, you cannot eat anything. And saw everything. Saw everything is very meaningful here because it pertains to your family, to your beloved, to the people who have been around you. They may not be there at the time when you become very, very old. And this is a stage in life where you have actually lived your life, and then you are not left with anything with you. Neither your health, nor your emotions, nor the people who have been there with you throughout. And after that, we have death. And then thereafter, the circle of life continues, and the person takes birth again and comes back to life again in the same manner in which a person comes on stage, performs his part, and has his exits. And therefore, this is the end of the poem and the 7 stages that a person undergoes in his or her life. These stages have been defined centuries back, but even today all of them hold good, because a person's life revolves and undergoes all these stages majorly in life. And that is why we say that Shakespeare is an evergreen author.